Hello everybody, welcome to UPL. My name is Sir Murray Walker, aka Mr. Evil Dragon, back again in this commentary box. And today we're at Spa, and if you know me at Spa, it does normally end well when I commentate. So, we're expecting the unexpected. We're going to be expecting a lot of carnage. We're back again in the 2010 cars around the circuit, the Spot Froggle Shop, situated in the Ardennes Forest. First hosted a racer all the way back in the 1930s, which commonly, of course, we see the layout today. Let's start. First hosted a race in F1 in 1985. Facts for you there. This chicane we're coming up to now, the old bus stop chicane, was changed in the late 2000s, about 2005, 2006, to the more current layout we see today, this tricky little right-left. It looks like a bus stop that's been blown up or something like that. I don't like it. I prefer the old one. It's controversial, but it doesn't mean we have this really straight pit lane. And the main straight down towards turn number one, the old source then. Chuck it in here, it's about a 100 mile an hour corner sometimes, chuck it down to about 50 miles an hour on the exit. And now you're coming up to what is renowned as the best corner in the world. The famous El Rouge, over the Red River and up the crest up to Radium, where we've seen some simply beautiful overtakes in recent years. Now coming down the old Camel Straight, got a McLaren up the head, that should get out the way there, the Ferrari slinging in the slipstream, looking at BV right now. He's currently down in 10th position. Down into Lecombe, tricky little braking zone here, right, left, then to the right, then this here, at the top of the hill, this is Normandy, I think, if I'm not too mistaken. Now down into Brussels, then downhill braking zone, easy to snag the inside brake. Watch out for that now as they come down to X corner, tricky corner, fourth gear, fly in there, little bit of a lift off, run it out wide, now down to Pouon. One of the quickest corners on the circuit, chucking in about 170, 180 mile an hour on the exit. Now down to the Fania chicane, then chuck it in here. Long flowing right hander into a long flowing left hander. We saw Kimi Räikkönen go off here in 2008. Down into the back of the circuit, down into Stavelot as I always call it. Tricky little corner this one on the exit, don't want to 1-2 ride because that barrier will bite you. Now down to the probably the third most famous corner, maybe even the second. This is Blanchimont. Taking at almost 190 miles an hour. Dead left as you chuck it in here. 7th gear, full throttle. And now look for the braking zone here. Look for the 100-meter board. You chuck it on the brakes there. Down on the brakes there. Down into first gear. Good line so far for BB. He just comes through the last corner. This should be around about a 148. 148.2. That's it. Puts in P6 so far. But it's Tony on pole position then. From Aiden in second, Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel at third and fourth position in their respective cars. Ahead of Plex, BV. Then we got L6. Then we got Maxi, Chris, and Kai, who is totally right down the back so far. He's in the Brawn, of course, struggling a little bit right now with the fellow Brawn. The car that really should be doing quite well around here. So now we're just watching here, down into Pouon again, 160 miles an hour. A blinding corner really, up to 170. The Brawn really a little bit less downforce than the Red Bull and of course the Ferrari and the McLaren. So might see it struggle ever so slightly in this middle sector, but the straight line speed, the brunt of that Brawn in the race should mean it should be absolutely flying around the circuit. And often it does. It's one of the best cars in Formula 1. It's one of the fastest cars as well. So, will we see some carnage? Will we see some excitement down towards turn number one? The source, of course, a tricky little corner. We've seen some spectacular shots there in the past. The likes of Charles Leclerc and Fernando Alonso in 2018 and 2012, actually, respectively. Of course, you can't talk about Spa without one certain incident that happened in 1998. And we all well remember that carnage when a certain David Coulthard spun into the wall, triggering a 13-car shunt. Of course, since then, the barrier's been moved a little bit. It's in fact a bit more tighter, so if you go off, you're going to have probably a worse shunt than that, but of course the cars will be all bunched up a little more gently, of course, no free wide. And of course the puddles down there, absolutely removed. Of course, coming up to El Rouge as well is one of the fastest corners on the circuit. You come into it at about 160 miles an hour, if I'm not too mistaken, maybe even slightly more, about 180, I think, in these modern cars. About 180 in these cars as well. Yellow flag for Sector 2 is riding Tony up the top of El Rouge into Radion then. Where, of course, we tragically saw a horrific accident just a few weeks ago, of course, in Belgium. So hopefully everything okay today in the race. Now down towards Lecombe again, then tricky corner. Remembering Hamilton and Rosberg came together here in 2014 in a spectacular shot. Not many people go off here in Normandy. Sebastian Vettel went wide that 1 year, and Fernando Alonso spun in 2010. Now they come down Brussels. This is where Lewis Hamilton went off in 2010. Talking about McLaren's going off. There he goes. Tony currently on pole position, 147.0. So down into this little tricky section here. This is Pool 1. We'll ride on board here and I'll listen to the sounds. Absolutely beautiful. I'm trying to see yellow flags in sector 3. So I'm wondering that. So one of the Ferrari's going slow. So trying to see who that is. It's Vettel. They're going slowly in the Ferrari lane. So Vettel struggling so far, and of course the circuit in 2010 where he ran into Jenson Button, of course, and what was an absolutely spectacular shunt. Hopefully we don't see anything such like it today, of course, but anything can happen in Formula 1, and it usually does. As we're watching Sebastian Vettel just come around the back of the circuit down towards the pit lane. His fellow rival up front, the McLaren, comes into pit lane. Tony so far in the pit lane then. So we've got X down then, he's coming through, that is Stavelot then, down into this tricky little bottom hill of the circuit. Where the drivers really want to be careful. Like he said, tricky corner this is. There's his teammate getting out of the way there, that must be, Macchio, I think it is. Yeah, Macchio in the Red Bull there, getting well out of the way of his fellow teammates. So everything going well for those guys, but so far Tony is in pole position, expecting all these drivers just beginning the out laps to come and try and set the fast lap, of course, they possibly can. Kai, meanwhile, not last. That is now Chris's domain, 150.5 so far for them. But still Tony and Dan in the top 2. The 2 minutes to go, that means they will just about get one more added lap if they need it. I'm sorry, that was Luton and Mackie there actually down the back. So Max still getting a nice long tow here from his fellow team driver, so I say that. The Red Bull's working together well. Now you'll see Dan will get out of the way. He gave him a nice long tow as they come down into this tricky little right-left chicane then. Gets nicely done as they come through Normandy. The Red Bull a lot slower in a straight line than the McLaren and the Ferrari, and especially that Brawn. But remember one thing. That car has got superior downforce. It won the championship, certainly most likely on the downforce levels. The Renault engine, of course, was one, if not the weakest engines, about 40-50 horsepower down than the Mercedes engine. So, always a struggle for that car, but it works, though, it's the downforce Adrian Newey designed. And it really shows. Stable on the front, stable on the rear. That's the car, of course. Remember that ended up using the blown diffuser in 2011. The F-Duct, of course, McLaren used in 2010. The blown diffuser in 2011. One of the most innovative design, and in my opinion, one of the best sounding F1 cars of all time. The 2011 Red Bull, if you haven't seen it, do get a video of it. It's absolutely glorious. Maxwell, meanwhile, coming down out of Blanchimont, then down on the brakes into the bus stop chicane. Then nice and gentle on the brakes, heating, warm, red, hot. The Red Bull then, red hot, he exits the last corner. Can he get himself off the back row? Yes, he does, puts himself up to 6th position then. And that's exactly what he needed to do. Now he's going to give Dan a nice tow as well. And we're just looking here at Tony. He will not get another lap in. Vettel will not either. So Vettel done as well. The Leclerc on the lap. Clicks. Maxi BV on the lap. We're looking at the McLaren there of I6 as well on the lap. Well, coming down the back of the circuit, we have the Ferrari led of BV. So let's see what the Ferrari can do. Through down into Blanchimont now, these last couple of corners. Tricky braking zone here, the Ferrari. A little bit of a lock up there. Rear end wants to step around, but everything clean through that. Comes the line. Can BV get himself up ahead of Maxwell? Then he stays 7th for the time being. Now, is anyone else going to beat him? That's the question. We have Vettel crossing the line. Doesn't improve. Now, what about Charles Leclerc then? So, Vettel couldn't improve, but what about his team, well, fellow driver Leclerc then? Let's see. The battle between Vettel and Leclerc heating up in this championship. What about Leclerc? Can he go fastest? Goes P2. 2 thousandths of a second behind pole position. Fantastic stuff there. And anyone else possibly on a lap to beat yellow flags there. So we're just waiting on Luton now. He's up by over a tenth, and he is just a tenth off pole. This could be awfully close. Down he comes then. Luton just has to be careful. Does not need to throw this away then. Down he comes with Blondimon. Good line for the Red Bull. Now, all he has to do is hook this last couple of corners up into the right, a little bit deeper. That's all he wants to do, and he spins! Spins the car! 360 degrees there, now he's pointing 180, and he's spun the car. He was up on his lap, and he's gone and shot it on the last corner, and well, not what he wanted to do there. He could have gained pole, he was on for a pole position lap time, made a mistake. Too much on the power on the exit and the car went straight round. So Tony takes pole position in the McLaren MP425 ahead of his teammate Charles Leclerc in second. 2,000 separate those two drivers. Dan in third ahead of UPL. Vettel in fourth position. Vettel could not improve his time. Pigs ahead of Maxi, BV, I6, Kai and Chris down the back. So we're expecting potential for rain in the race, so this could be very intriguing indeed. Rain forecast for the race. So it's now all going to be up to the drivers not to make any mistakes. One small mistake here and it's all going to be very big problems very, very quickly. Remember, of course, when it rains here in Spa, it pours. And so far, it is sunny and no rain so far on the screen. But remember, of course, a rain forecast later on. So this could mean absolute carnage down middle of the race. We're expecting potentially around about lap 7. We believe, according to my telemetry, according to my news feed, rain potential around about lap 7, but it's all going to be around about that first corner. Where are we going to see any overtakes? Are we going to see carnage down there? Is it going to be clean? That's always the question. Of course, it's Spa. It's a tricky long right-hander, of course. It's rather tight. I said the source hairpin. We've seen shunts down there before. Watch out for cars trying to make the switch back up to Eau Rouge. And if they can do that, that's what they need to do. Now, we're rating on the grid. Remember, the formation lap is away. And they'll roll then. 2 McLarens, Ferrari, Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren. And there you can see down the back, Camus has managed to get an session in that Williams, of course. He will be scoring half points. Of course, he disconnected before the race begun, so of course he will be starting on the half points, of course. Of course, in terms of the championship as well, we've seen some exciting moments throughout, of course, and don't forget to do put your comments down in the chat as well. So, anything can happen here in Spa, and it usually does. And when it normally goes wrong, everything very much goes wrong. Could be chance, like I said, rain. You can see clouds starting to form in the sky. But what is it going to be like down to turn number 1? Well, so far, Tony rather leaving it quite quickly. Dan, Vettel, and everyone else rather spread out. So you can see how spread out the field is. And this is not what they want to do. We're looking all the way down the field. And you can see here the likes of Cab right the way down the field. Again on the formation lap. The drive is a little bit messy here. That is I6. A little bit of lag right there. And, oh dear. Well, I mean, this is not what you want to see. A bit of lag, I might say, here in Spa. So, this could be very interesting. Lag could be a deciding factor here. Remember, lag doesn't normally end well. And if it lags at the start of the race, that could be, oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, well, this is quite appalling. And there is a Ferrari drifting in the background. Now, I'm not sure what's happened here. That is, that BV? It is BV. So BV doing some drifting. I6 doing some Houdini stuff. And we're ready to go for the Belgium Grand Prix. The leaders, by the way, they're all just coming through the back of the circuit. And they're all just backing up right now, trying to wait for the guys at the back. And that there is Chris, Kai, and all these guys here. I6, who is Well, I mean, simply put it, i6 is in a different postcode right now. Not exactly sure what I'm seeing, but all I can say is i6 is lagging, and that could not be the best thing. Well, here we go then, getting ready for the grid. Connection might be poor for i6, but we're getting ready to go then. And we're just waiting now for the Ferrari, or we're just waiting for the McLaren. And when they line up, we'll be ready to go then here in Spa. Here we go then. 5 lights are going to be ready for the driver. Yellow flags breathing in the background. 5 lights are on. When they're off, we are racing, and it's lights out. Away we go. Good start for the McLaren so far then. Good start from the Red Bulls. It comes down towards turn number 1. Is it going to be nicely clean? But Tony leads first into the source from Cam. Dan in third, ahead of Pix in set in fourth. But everyone clean away at the start of this race then. They run down towards our route for the first time. McLaren, then the Red Bulls. Then comes the Ferraris. Everything clean through there at the start of this race. Now let's see the sling down the back straight then. Who's it going to be? 2 McLarens going side by side up front. Tony and Leclerc then. Leclerc on the outside, Tony on the inside. And it's Tony just ahead. They almost touch. They do touch. Off goes Leclerc down into the runoff area. And now the Red Bull comes through. Yellow flags down there, and that's all there. One of the Ferraris around, and that is BV off the start. And he's spun. There's problems there already. But Tony leads. Dan second. Here Leclerc battling with Plix. i6 there already up to 5th. Vettel had a shocking start. And now they come through Pool then for the first time. Bit wide there. Leclerc struggling then. And this is the worst kind of start Leclerc wanted. He did not need to be down there. He needed to be up front. But so far he's only in third. Not the worst start he could have made. i6 in fourth. He's done a brilliant start from the back row of the grid with Plex, Maxi. Then we got Cam, who's in the wall, I think, nearly. And he got very lucky there. And what's our Vettel? Here comes the Williams then. Remember, he'll be scoring half points no matter what happens in this race. So he's rather going out there to have some fun and blasting it away in the 03 Williams. A car, of course, went on to almost win the championship in 2003 with the McLaren, of course, when Ferrari struggled so much. Won that done, and it's Tony leading from Dan, leading from the car, and then i6 then. And this is a good start from the Red Bull as well. This is exactly what you need to do. Get this good start and then try and come through. And i6 though up 4 positions. Here we can see then that Mercedes versus the Red Bull. The Red Bull might not have enough straight line speed. You can see him, he's just sitting there, revving out the top there. The McLaren just got a little more grunt in that car. Meanwhile, 2 McLarens battling together, that there of Leclerc and Hamilton, i6 getting it close together, and Leclerc that behind and battling here with Leclerc. Leclerc having a look up the inside that can't do a lot about it. So he just has to sit back, just wait a little bit right now. But no major incidents at the start of this race, apart from BD, who hit the wall slightly, damaged from the front wing, of course, and he is very much out of this race so far. Well, no saying it, he is still driving on the circuit, a fair play to him, but he is not where he needs to be. He really needed to be kind of up front and just be in this gaggle of cars, but he is not. And here you can see the Ferrari trying to come through, trying to find a gap then. Here against the McLaren there, but another thing he can do, the McLaren tight as a brick, as I saw a Red Bull getting a massive tag slap of that. And that there of Maxi. Vettel then with a good exit speed then down towards Blanchimont. Is he going to go the long way around then? Yes, he has then. Side by side, that was Blanchimont then, the fastest corner on the circuit. 2 cars, side by side. Oh no! Oh, they've been caught, but they got away with it. Very lucky stuff there. Oh god! Oh, there's carnage. Brawn around. Ferrari sprawled in the middle of the circuit there. And Kai damage into the pit lane then. Now that was the last thing he wanted. Very luckily. No, that could have been a massive accident there. And I think Vettel may have damage as well. He might have got away with it. Then the Ferrari will have a very lucky moment. Brown pounce moment there for Kai, as he almost has a monumental shot. Luckily for the ghosting system, that could have been an almighty accident. Meanwhile, Leclerc, here we go again then against I6. Tries to go around the outside, then Kai out of the session then. So Kai is out then. So that 3 of 11. We've already got our first by technical retirement. That is Kai. Leclerc battling away with his fellow McLaren as well as Plix as well. Cam just sitting back in that Williams. Up front, meanwhile, we still got a battle here between Tony and Dan here. So Tony leading this race so far by just under half a second. Very close between these two drivers. And to be fair, Dan's done a good job so far. He's kept his nose clean. And all he needs to do right now is just stick with that McLaren. He does not need to make a mistake. Making a mistake here is the last thing he needs to do. And he just needs to try and stay back, wait his time, and then try and come through whenever he can. Again, no further down the field, we can see this great battle here between Plix, Leclerc, and I6, who's up to 3rd position, by the way, up 5 positions in this race, as well as Cam as well in that Williams. I6, meanwhile, fastest lap of the Grand Prix then, so I6 starting a flying. You can just see these two up ahead, and again, you can see in the slipstream. This is why we have DRS, by the way, in F1. Due to this in 2010, not a lot of overtakes. It really had to be within about 2 attempts just to get that big toe. And you really need to be in the best engine with DRS, of course. You really eviscerated that. And it could be just under a second and close right up. Because about a second is when the dirty air really starts affecting these cars in real life. Luckily on the game, remember, the dirty air does not affect the cars as much. BV with a time penalty there of 5 seconds. Not what he wants to do, as we're looking at I6, Leclerc and Plix. Further down the field, we've got the 2 Broads. Vettel there down in 9th. Kai, who's out of this race, and BV right down the back. So really the battle here is for 1st and 2nd position in this race. And so far it is the McLaren leading that Red Bull by just 2 seconds. This is where the Red Bull is in its prime. This is where it's strong. Down here in the middle sector, you can see it. Trying to hunt, trying to find opportunities then. As he comes down the bottom of the circuit, down through the Stavolo, then down he comes then, up towards Balancimont then here for the 4th time then. Beautiful sounds of these V8 engines reverberating here in the Ardennes Forest. They're a beautiful sight to see and behold as well. These 3-4 magical cars laying the brakes there, and you can just see trying to find any gap, trying to find a gap here, and he just can't do it. He's just stuck behind, and more he tries, the more his tyres are going off, so he needs to find a gap as soon as he possibly can, and there's always an opportunity. Good run there for turn 1, but on the exit, Tony a little bit better. UPL Road, nice and close. He's within 2 attempts. And here we go. There we go now. Now he's going to the inside there. McLaren knows about it. McLaren's weaving a little bit now. So I think potentially he knows that he's under pressure then, but just still stays ahead there. We're on that 5-11. Look at the sky. Clouds are forming. Potential for rain still, remember. And the McLaren losing it. Is he in the wall? I think he got away with it. Bit of contact there. Makes a mistake. And that's allowing I6 to try and come through. And I6, oh no. He's inside him. This isn't what we want to see. They're inside each other here. I6, I don't think they can see each other. Tony then just stays ahead of I6 by a fraction of a second as they decide to do some Houdini stoppage with each other, and somehow, very fortunate, nothing bad happens. I6 trying to have a look up the inside, bit of a weave on that, bit of a wiggle on that's all going to allow Leclerc to close right up as well. And meanwhile, that's Plix going past Cam there, the Williams. Now, what's the Williams on the exit? And there's nothing that Ferrari can do. Absolutely phenomenal sound that was there. Hope you're enjoying it like I am. If you got headphones on, you'll be loving this. But Dan now leads in the Red Bull. That's what you do. I6 with a penalty there, and there you can see Tony now has to get the move on, try and close back like that. But that was crucial then, with just under half the race to go. He did not need to make that mistake. It's now McLaren. Then comes the Williams, then comes the Ferrari, then comes the other Red Bull. Then comes Vettel down at 8th, battling away with Chris and Kai, of course, out of this race ahead of BV, getting caught very quickly now. And look at the sky. Look at the sky. Clouds are forming. Remember, when it rains, it pours. And here you can see the two McLarens going at it. Then I6 covering the inside line. And is Leclerc going to try around the outside? Then on the brakes thinks about that. Nothing he could do. And just look back. There you can see that Williams just lurking in the shadows. And this is where, remember, it's got very simplistic front wing design. A very simple front wing. So it's not going to have the downforce in this middle sector. But where it comes alive is in those high speeds corners, like for example into Blanchimont. Of course, yellow flags in sector 2, and that there is Maxi spun the car, it looks like into the wall, and looks to me like he's pulling over potentially. No front wing, of course, so what's happened there, he most likely has lost it on the exit of the corner and spun into the inside wall, as there goes the Brawn from the inside. And wow, that is not what you want to see, that. And that there is Maxi in the wall. And has left the session, of course. The first retirement by configure. He's not in the race anymore because he's out the car. Fortunate, of course, he's not injured, of course. And that'll be all good. But now this is going to allow BV and Kai to come through. They'll see their fallen comrade on the right. No, they won't because he's despawned. But up front, 1.9 seconds, almost 2 seconds now. The gap's starting to form between these guys. And there you can see that Cam is now ahead of the Leclerc. So the Williams working well so far then. So he's blasted past. So like I said, that Williams is a rocket ship in a straight line. And it's proving it. Right on board. Just listen to the engine sound. Just look at that gap closing. And Maxi not happy with that Red Bull. But the Williams just behind that McLaren so far. And McLaren 2-3. The gap up front is about 1.9 seconds. Not dropping, not gaining. But Tony, that small mistake, really critical. Very fortunate, to be honest, not to end his race with that jump there. Very easy to do, of course, in these cars. The damage model in the 2010 cars, a little more aggressive, I'd say, than the 2018 cars, 2019 cars, so I say. I6 there. Now you can just see in the background. There you can see Cam on press from the Leclerc. But look down the straight. Look at that gap. 4 temps. Now it's up to 6 temps. Now it's up to 7 temps. Now it'll be up to 8 temps. It'll almost be over a second before it reaches that braking zone. And that just shows you how quick that car is. And we believe rain is imminent. Meanwhile, down up front fast lap. Tony fast lap. Cam fast lap. 1:47.5. And there, look, you can see it's starting to rain here in Spa. So, now then, now comes a tricky situation. Are the tyres going to be good? Are they going to start going off? That's always the question. But here we can see Cam up against, oh, bit of contact now at the top of our Rouge there, up in Radio, bit of contact there. Better debris flying as the Williams flies past, and that is not going to help. He needed the front wing because there's not a lot of it, and now he's got even less of it. So Cam, slight mistake there. Now that's going to really cost him in this middle sector here. And now you can see that McLaren going back up the inside potentially. Just sitting back right now. Just rather pushing him around the corner actually. Move over, he says. I'm going for third. And through he goes. Nothing that Williams can do. Lack of downforce now. And now they can see the rain falling heavily here. Leclerc will have a 3-second time penalty. And that isn't going to help him either. Does not need to be getting penalties in the stage of this race. Now he goes past. Oh, dear. Oh, there's a Ferrari obviously in the wall. He got away with that. There goes the Williams. Into the wall. Last thing he needed, the Ferrari almost spun as well. And it is chucking it down. Chucking it down here in Spa. Like we said, it's more of a deluge than a rainstorm right now in Spa as the rain starts to fall. Yellow flags in sector 3 and I'm wondering, is that the Williams? It is the Williams off the road. And it's gone from bad to worse for Cam. He's spun the car. He's now in the wall. Yellow flags in sector 1 now. And that there is Beevy off the top of Radion. And now rain. We have utter rain. It's falling, it's chucking it down here in Spa. We're on that 9 of 11 here in the Ardennes, and the rain is falling. And now the drivers all going to be very careful now. I mean, I've seen how easy it is when it rains. It comes down there, the Ferrari pulling over, and in the pits comes Cam for a new nose, maybe even for the wet tyres. And yes, it is wet tyres. So, Cam on the wet tyres. Beevy was also on those wet tyres and spun. But now the rain's starting to fall. And the lead, by the way, is 2.0, 2.2 now. Dan, Tony, I6. Then comes Leclerc. Then comes Plicht. Then comes Vettel. Then comes Crest. Cam down in 8th. And Kai, of course, out of this race by technicality in 9th. As the Williams blasts up the hill. Remember, he's going to have no downforce up here. And you can see, struggling a little bit there at the top of the hill. Luckily, Lope got away with it there. And remember, it's not wet enough, I say, so far for those wet tyres. But it is going to get wetter quicker and quicker and quicker as we go on. Dan so far through the middle sector. He's doing a phenomenal job up front. He's just got that gap to around about 2.4 seconds right now. He's just opening the gap little bit by little bit. And since Tony made that mistake, he's not looked back. And now we're expecting, we're on to lap 10. We do not believe anyone's going to come in for those wet tyres. So, it should be till the end of this race. And if it does get heavy enough for those wet tyres, then we're going to have issues on the final lap. It's not over by a long shot. The two McLarens, they're separated by just over 1.4 seconds. 3 seconds between I6 and Tony. 2 seconds, almost 3 seconds between Tony and Dan. And Dan doing a beautiful job up front. They can see Plecht behind him there. Vettel just in the pit lane right now. So Vettel in the pit lane. Now this will be for wet tyres, I imagine, going on. Is that potentially? Yes, wet tyres on for Vettel then. So Vettel going for the wet. And now look at the spray. It is starting to rain. It is raining heavily. There you can see debris from one of the cars who's been in the wall. I think that must have been Maxiel who went off earlier on. And look, now as Dan starts to struggle a little bit here as the rain starts to fall, we're seeing spray in the middle sector down the back of the circuit. And this here is now where these drivers are going to make their money. Are they going to come in the pits? Are they going to risk it for the chocolate biscuit? Yellow flags flying in sector 2. And that there is Plix off the road. Now Plix is spun. Has he got damage on the Ferrari? No, he hasn't. Sector 1 yellow flags. Now wondering who that's for. Hard to see. Yellow flag sector 2 still. There you can see the Leclerc sliding around. There everyone's sliding. Yellow flags now sector 2 again. I'm wondering who that's for this time. They're all struggling. They're all caught out in these conditions. There's Plix. That's why. Damage. Yellow flag sector 3. And that's Tony off the track there. And that is the exit of the Fania. That is exit of Stavolo. Spun the car and it is chucking it down there. Leclerc's gone off. Now is everyone going to be careful? They're all going to have to come in the pit lane. Dan then, down to the brakes. Are they going to come into that pit lane? Dan stays out. Dan staying out. So is I6. What about the Leclerc? What about Tony? Are they going to stay out? Tony having a look up the inside. The two cars top each other. The Leclerc comes in the pit lane. He fixes time for wet. This race not over by a long shot here on the final lap here on the Belgium Grand Prix as rain starting to fall. Here we come up our route. You're going to be nice and clean your leader. Needs not to go off. He's going off the road. Has he caught it? Yes, he has. He's sticking it on the island, but it is absolutely chucking it down. I6 has made it. Tony, what about him? Is he going to stay on the island as well? He goes wide, but keeps on that island just about as well. Absolutely incredible. Tiptoe, yellow flag sector 1. Who's that going off the road? I'm wondering. That's Plix in trouble, I think, there potentially. No, that's Leclerc. My apologies, that's Leclerc in trouble. He's lost his front wing, so he did not pit for the wet tyres. As now this is going to be tricky conditions here. Look at them, opposite lock. Now they're coming down to a very tricky long right-hander then. Left-handers are saying, look, he can't turn. There's no grip. There's no grip. He's going wide. Can he keep the car? Look at him struggling. The rear end stepping out. Likewise. Oh, no. Off goes I6 into the wall. That isn't what he needs to do either. He's in trouble. Utter carnage here then. Everyone's going off the road. Everyone's going off the road. This is incredible. And now all that Dan needs to do is manage to do Blanchimont, and he will win the Belgium Grand Prix. Here we go then. Dan through Blanchimont, taking a nice cautious. The rear end wants to step, but he's got it under control. Now he just comes down the brakes. Needs no mistake here. He needs to do this chicane. And Dan, through the last corner, in torrential conditions on the dry tyres, in a deluge there, wins the Belgium Grand Prix. Can he even get the power on? Yes, he can. Cam is out to the session. Dan wins in Belgium. Tony, he got lucky. He got lucky there. He did not finish the race. He crossed the line then. I6 will cross the line. He's down in 3rd position then, struggling as well. Plix down in 4th. Through the last corner. Tricky, slidey conditions, but Plix 4th position. Leclerc on the drives as well. He's going to finish down in 5th. But what on earth happened there? The rain just fell, and carnage here in Spa. And like I said, rain did pause. Vettel in 6th. Chris in 7th, then, so the Broad up to 7th. Cam in 8th position, did not finish either. But carnage, utter carnage here in Belgium. Well, what an carnetic race, but it is, of course, the Red Bull on the top step of the podium in a beautiful drive, I must say, for him as well. He took the lead, he very much stayed there. And now the champagne. Wins the Belgium Grand Prix from Tony. I6 in 3rd, Plix in 4th, Leclerc in 5th, Vettel in 6th, Chris 7th, Cam 8th, Kai 9th, BV 10th, and Maxi down in 11th position in utter carnetic weather. But from that, all I can say is that is Belgium. Join us on Monday for the F2. And of course, join me next week where we go to the next classic circuit. Will it be as carnetic as this one? We'll find out then. But I've been Evil. Thank you for joining us here in this absolutely carnetic Belgium Grand Prix. Until next time, take care. Goodbye.